Hello! So today we're going to be making a healthy recipe for shrimp stock at home, homemade shrimp stock. So last night we made some barbecued shrimp on the grill for dinner and saved the shells, the fresh shrimp, saved the shells in order to make stock today. This is something that I've been starting to try to do, just not only to have some healthy homemade options at home, but also to reduce waste in cooking and in my lifestyle in general, trying to just simplify things and have more healthy options available. Not that in-store stock is bad, there are low sodium options, but a lot of times they can be very high in sodium and other unhealthy additives in them. So this is a simple way to reuse or use something that you had already made for one meal to create something that can be used to make even more meals. So without further ado, without rambling, I'm going to show you the process that I use to create this shrimp stock. In the kitchen now, put on a quick headband to keep the hair out of the way, and we need to start on the ingredients for the stock. So I have here the shrimp shells that we saved and froze for now. Thaw those out and add them to the stock. And then I'm gonna use garlic, an onion, and some other seasoning, which I will show you as a start the process. So we've got our pot here, and the first thing I'm going to do is add in some olive oil. So this is just regular extra virgin olive oil, and we're just going to add in just enough to coat the bottom here, and that's what we're going to saute the actual shrimp in. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the stove on, and we're just going to go kind of a medium heat just to simmer it. We don't want it too high because the shrimp is frozen and get ready to burn. So we're just going to put those in there, melt that down. I'm also going to add in a whole onion that I have here, and I'm just gonna put the whole onion into the pot because we will, once the stock is drained, take that onion out and use it for part of the recipe we're gonna make with it. And also going to put in some whole garlic cloves. Just gonna peel them like this again, just throw them in as is. Kind of the classic way of making any soup stock, which is basically you just kind of throw everything into a pot. This would be the traditional way of making soup. You're going to want to keep stirring your ingredients around here though, so that it doesn't overheat. So now that that's beginning to simmer a bit, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add 6 cups of water. And then at this point, you can add whatever kind of seasoning you might want to add. Kind of season to taste. So I'm adding garlic salt. Okay, so now that we've brought this to a boil, we're going to go ahead and turn down to simmer. Put put a lid on it and you want to let it simmer for about 15 minutes. Once it's done, we'll take it off the stove, let it cool down properly before putting it in the refrigerator, because we are going to do what is called a double boil method. So we will let the stock sit, soak up all the goodness overnight, and then cook it again tomorrow before straining it. And now that, so we're on day 2. We've let this sit overnight, and we're just going to bring it to a boil again. That's the next step in the process. Let this boil, and then we will strain it to use for soup. So now that we have got that in the boil, we're going to strain everything out into a bowl here in the sink, so that we can separate the broth from what's in it, and also remember we're going to save the garlic and onion to make a later recipe, make some soup. Sit for a minute, cool down, so it's not too hot once we pour it into the containers. And then we're going to pour it into some mason jars to store to use later. So I have out here my food processor, because since the garlic and the onion have cooked twice and gotten very soft, I am going to peel those once they're cooled down and puree them into a paste, which I will later use to make the seafood bisque that I'm going to make tomorrow. So I'm just going to go ahead here and I'm peeling off the garlic peels. Oop, drop one. Peeling off the garlic peels. It comes off really easy since it's cooked. I'm just going to drop the garlic in there. The finished product look like. Kind of like a rough chopped paste here, and I'm gonna go ahead and save this and put it away for when I make bisque tomorrow. And now that we have let our broth cool down here, I'm gonna pour it into some mason jars. That's why I use this bowl that has kind of a lip on this little pouring lip on the end, so that it will be easy to transfer into the jars. If you don't have something like this, you can try to use a funnel, but this is the easiest to get a bowl like this method to do it. It will keep you from spilling too much. So I have these 2 mason jars here, and I'm just going to use them to pour the broth into, so I can store it until I need to use it. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned to the next video where I'm going to show you how I make a seafood bisque using this homemade broth that I just made.